I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods tracking our major travel impacts as we head into the holiday weekend. So let's get it started here with the timeline of what we're expecting. Weather impact alert Sunday through next Wednesday of next week. We've got the impacts being rain, snow, even some thunderstorms, travel, a big impact with roads, not only dealing with the rain, but also snow. So you need to prepare for extra travel time in what could be a very busy 3-day weekend with President's Day on Monday. Prepare for delays on the roads just because of the sheer volume of people, plus the messy conditions and potential for chain controls. This is all brewing in the Pacific right now. Storm system number 1 exiting the next line, getting ready to move on in. This next one coming in has a really cold punch to it as well. It's going to drop those snow levels significantly. Heading into our Friday, some patchy fog making a return into the valley forecast, then quick clearing after that. As we head into our Valentine's Day on Saturday, lots of cloud cover, but the rain, it's holding off. That doesn't really start to impact us until later in the day on Sunday. So we get through nearly all of Valentine's Day on a dry note. But this is also going to be a good opportunity to kind of go through that pre-storm checklist, put away those outdoor items, check scheduled events, especially since it is a 3-day weekend, might have some of those postponed or delayed. Avoid travel if possible into the high country because we're expecting delays, especially Sunday into Monday. Keep watching for these updates because this is going to be a developing situation into next week. Now, we had storm system number 1 coming through with roughly about 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch of rain for the valley, closer to about 3/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch for the foothills. Nice to just kind of get things going back into a wetter and snowier trend. Storm system number 1 with snow, we knew it was going to be the weaker of the 2 that are going to be impacting us into next week. So this week we picked up roughly about 5 to 25 inches of snow. Not a bad way to kind of put a fresh coat up in the Sierra. And wow, was this a great POW day for everybody hitting the slopes there up at Heavenly. You can see crystal clear conditions over the lake there up at Heavenly as folks were hitting the slopes for snowboarding and skiing. But next week is going to be really something to talk about. I want to break it down into 2 different timelines because the first one comes in and it gets things going. It's a little bit wetter. The next line that comes through is going to be much more in the way of lower snow and putting a lot more snow on the Sierra. So Sunday into President's Day, we've got valley rain about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Valley temperatures kind of fluctuating still in the mid 50s to near 60. Wind gusts up to about 20-25 miles per hour. Sierra snow a little bit on the leaner side compared to what we're going to be seeing. Only about 1/2 inch to 8 inches of snow with our snow level starting at about 5,000, 5,500 feet down to about 4,500 feet by the time we get to President's Day. Now we go into that second line. Once that cold air connects with the moisture, valley rainfall still sitting at about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Our temperatures, though, are going to fall into the lower 50s to right around the mid 50s. Wind gusts potentially up to 35 miles per hour for the valley, much higher in the Sierra, with our snow totaling about 2 to 5 feet, and our snow level drops to nearly 2,500 feet. So you know what happens in that situation. We start chaining up so early. It is just a snail's pace up towards the ridge and over the passes. The rainy season had a bit of a stall. December and January. Those are 2 of our 3 wettest months, that being December, January, and February. We had a really good start, though. October, November really put us in the plus side of things all throughout the state, but then things dried out, so some of us are starting to hit those deficits. February now starting to pick up a little bit of steam. Would be nice to catch up to where we should be this time of year, just to give us a nice little cushion heading into the drier time of the year. Here's a look at the statewide precipitation. The big winners so far has been all of those locations in Southern California, where we're still sitting almost 10.5 inches ahead of normal for Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, San Diego, Bakersfield, all ahead of average. The key factor here, our biggest reservoirs are in the northern part of the state. This is where we really want to see some of those bigger gains coming in over the next couple of days. Sierra, snow water equivalent. Once that snow melts, it goes into our reservoirs, and we're still a little lean, especially for the northern Sierra, only 39% average to date. We're closer to about 50 for the central Sierra and southern Sierra, still about 72% of average. That's going to put our statewide average at 54%. Now, we need to do some catching up because April 1st is right about that line of demarcation where we see more in the way of snow melt instead of snowfall, and all that snow melt going into our reservoirs. This is where things are sitting right now. Keep in mind, we've been really sitting with a buffer for much of this year because of 3 previous wet years. We've done a lot to hold back some of that water to try to keep it in our reservoirs to prepare for potentially a dry year this year. Right now, our reservoir is anywhere from 50 to 85% full, still ahead of average. And as we travel our way southward, again, anywhere from about roughly 60 to 85% full, but all of us sitting ahead of where we normally are at this point in the year. Normally, we don't see the highest peaks of capacity until about the end of May, early June. Our weather timeline, we're going to keep a little bit of a break in there from the wet weather through Valentine's Day. But again, rain and snow will return on Sunday. A little bit more in the afternoon, evening hours is when we expect that to pick up the way that things are playing out right now. Next week, widespread rain and that very low snow. Even the Weather Prediction Center putting us in that 8 to 14 day weather hazards outlook in the moderate to slight range of the heavy precipitation as well as heavy snow. And as for wind, really gusty along the coast as that big plume of moisture pushes its way inland and a couple of low pressure systems work their way in. Low that's cranking right now out of the Gulf of Alaska is going to press inland here, and with it we're going to pull in this band of moisture. That's going to be really nice to get things going here into the end of our weekend. So we get through Friday, we get through Saturday under that ridge of high pressure, but then that low comes moving on through Northern California, getting going Sunday afternoon and then getting into President's Day. This is what we're going to be dealing with. So you can see a very clear-cut line of snow developing for the Sierra and starting to move its way down the hill. This is going to be an impressive situation to watch. Total rain accumulation by the time we get into the end of this cycle will be roughly about 1.5 inches to almost 3 inches of rain. And then when we look at the snow totals, as I mentioned, we're going to be anywhere from about 17 to almost 50 inches of snow. Some of those higher peaks will even be above that. Now, in terms of wind, it is just going to come in a couple of pulses. We'll just look at that Monday storm as that cold air tries to work its way in. Also a chance of thunderstorms starting to come in as that colder air starts to add some instability. So Monday at noontime, we're looking at winds roughly about 25 to 30 miles per hour. But by the afternoon and evening, we're seeing a couple of little pockets in there into our Tuesday of wind gusts over 50 miles per hour for the Sierra, gusty along the coast as well. Just be aware Monday into Tuesday, we're just going to be rocking and rolling here as this low starts to push that storm track all the way to the south here. It brings in a big push of cold air. So yeah, look at these snow levels that are going to be dropping around 5,000 feet on Monday, down to 4,000 feet on Tuesday by early Wednesday morning. So we're talking mainly overnight Tuesday through early Wednesday. We could see snow down to 2,500 feet, and then it comes back up to about 4,000 feet by the time we get to Thursday. But the long range outlook still looking likely cooler and likely wetter heading into the end of February. So there's more that we're going to be tracking in the long-term forecast. Here we go. On our Friday, we're looking at highs in the 40s, 50s to low 60s down the hill. We'll wrap up the work week in the 50s to 60s as we head across the coast and towards the Delta. Central Valley forecast from the northern San Joaquin Valley through the capital region. We're going to be in the 60s. This is still going to be above average. Keep in mind, we're going to have that ridge of high pressure briefly build in. That's going to bump up those temperatures before we start to see them absolutely come crashing down next week. For the mountains, even though we're in the 40s for our Friday, we only hit highs in the 20s by next Tuesday. Same for the foothills. You know, for so long we were sitting in the 70s, and then we had a couple of those waves move through, kind of got us back to where we should be this time of year. And then by next week, we're only in the 40s for afternoon highs. For the coast, we're going to keep it wet right on through our Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Highs will drop to near 50 by next Tuesday. So again, we continue to watch areas of rain develop on Sunday. We've got President's Day on Monday. Wet weather continues at least through our Wednesday. Early Thursday forecast is looking pretty dry Friday and Saturday. Potentially another storm on the move for the following weekend.